Coming to you live from a little grass shack in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, it's the Junior Kekuewa Jr. Show, starring Junior Kekuewa Jr.
I thought we fired this guy.
Join Junior along with the Wayne Borhe Band as he makes any kind from Hawaii.
Okay, here we go again.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Junior Kekuewa Jr.
How's it, Hawaiians? How you, Hawaiians? Oh, Hawaiians. Oh, man. Welcome to the podcast. Wait, hey, cut off their beer already. All right. Hey, welcome to the podcast. I'm Junior Kekuewa Jr. And so we're experimenting with formats. So bear with us because some of the podcasts are going to sound different. Okay. So my engineer, Jay, over there, he's looking at me going, huh? Like, I don't know. He may be on his video game. I'm not sure. Anyway, so yeah, you are. Okay. So anyway, welcome to the podcast. And first, the attitude of gratitude. So we want to thank everyone that's part of the podcast. I mean, boy, we've got how many states and countries? I'm trying to look in real time, and it's 42 states and 57 countries. And we're very grateful to you guys. Thank you so much. And no new countries or anything, nothing really spectacular to report. So we just want to thank you for being here. And also want to say that our audience has shifted as far as, male, female kind of thing. So, and that happens, right? The United Kingdom actually was our last country. And then, so when we go down and break down the age categories, like the podcast is getting younger, a lot of 23 to 27-year-olds, we have some 17 to 22-year-olds, and it has shifted from, so remember when females were like, I don't know, 19%? Okay, now there's more females, 36.7%, males, 63.1%. This was almost the man show. I want to say almost, right? And then I was like, whoa, are we going to have to like shift topics? No, not at all. This is the Law of Attraction comedy podcast. I can't even talk tonight. But anyway, we do this at night. And then, of course, it airs every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time, Hawaii time. So on with the podcast. So now, today we're going to talk about, the election that happened, the psychological anxiety that's going on with certain people. Because it's a good thing if you're on the winning team, right? And if you're on the losing team, it's like, oh no, that kind of thing. But here's the thing, like ever since, right? Ever since I've been voting, like I don't see things change all that drastically. Although we could see some, significant change. But here's the thing, right? The democratic process, okay? Like, there's the red team and the blue team, and there's representatives of both sides is what I'm saying. And so the law of attraction, right? So where the focus goes, attention flows. Now, one of the things about, if you're really concerned and looking at what side is going to rule or going to have the majority or whatever, there's always people on two sides. Okay, there's always, and what you should be seeking is balance. What you should understand is balance. Okay, and I know there's a lot of people out there that think that a lot of their rights are being taken away, and it hasn't happened yet. Okay, these things have not happened yet. Now I don't know how severe it's going to swing, but I can tell you one thing: when society swings one way, the pendulum. Okay. Now let's say, for example, because we got liberal and conservative kind of thing going on with the red and blue. Okay. And there's always been that division. There's always been that. There's always us versus them. And, when I was younger, I was a liberal. When I was younger, I was totally liberal. I was totally like, yeah, let's do everything. And as I got older, right, I found out something like in my mid to late 20s, right? I was having a discussion with my first mentor, and we came to the conclusion, I came to the conclusion, he knew, but I came to the conclusion that there was no solid foundation to liberalism. Okay. Now, when you break it down, when you like get down to the roots of everything, you know, liberalism is okay. It's good. It gives other people opportunities, right? So like you don't walk through life feeling handcuffed, right? Now, you know, the alphabet thing, the LBGTBQ XYZ. I'm not against that at all. I'm not against. If this is how you want to live your life, then you do you. Okay. You know that old expression, you do you, boo boo, right? But you do you. Okay. Just don't force it on me. Just don't force it on my children. Just don't force it on, I have a grandson and he's old now. He's out of school. I believe he's out of, I don't know. I don't know my grandson. I really don't know my grandson. And anyway, that's a story that we're not going to get into. But anyway, he made it through school. He's a fine young gentleman, fine young man, and I didn't have to worry about that because his father took good care of him. Well, at least we think, because I don't know. That's why I say I think. I'm not dissing his father or anything like that, but I'm just saying. The thing to really consider is number one, humans are very impressionable. Humans are very impressionable. You can brainwash a human very, very easily, okay? And online, like, on social media, for example, right? If you see like three different things concerning a topic, pretty soon you're convinced, yeah, okay, yeah, that's the thing to do. Yeah, I'm gonna be like that. That kind of thing. And some people are not strong enough to go, okay, I've seen, these things here for that argument. And then there's this argument over here. And then this is how I feel. And now let's do some critical thinking and let's break these things down. No, people don't do that. And in today's society, we don't have time to do that. Okay. In today's society, it's like, hey, you know what? I got things to do. And they glance at stuff and they make a flash decision a lot of times. But if they see that thing over and over and over, guess what? They start to believe it. They start to believe it. So humans are very impressionable. Now, young humans, baby humans, I want to say, I want to say 5, 6 year old kindergartners, right? They're highly impressionable because they're looking for something, right? They're looking for things in life. They're learning. Now, if you present a child with, heavy duty choices at that age, and I'm not going to get into it, I think that you can easily sway a child's opinion at that age. And I think they should be left alone until such time as they can make their own decisions. I mean, I had, I had some choices that I thought I was making at 13 that I thought were level-headed decisions. And when I was 25, I thought those decisions were crazy. When I was 25, I thought I had life all figured out. And when I was 35, I was like, what the hell was I thinking? That kind of thing. So, yeah, give it some time, you guys, okay? But now let's see how the law of attraction, fills in here. Like, how does it fit in? And what does it fill in to? Well, here's the thing. I can tell you this about the law of attraction that people don't think about. Now, the things that, like where energy goes, where attention flows. Now, if your attention is on something, or let's say collectively a group of people's, focuses on something, and I'll tell you why this is true. It's true because a town had some Buddhist monks that went into the town. It was in Seattle, and they did some meditating, and the crime went down in the area. And all they did was get together in their own little space, and they meditated, and the crime went down. Okay, so based upon that, I'll tell you this. Okay, because this is like a different deal too. But here's what I'll tell you. When you go to a movie, okay, you don't think that millions of people are seeing that movie. Okay. And the things that are in that movie, the conditioning, the ideas, and it's not necessarily, the movie wasn't necessarily made to brainwash you, although some people will tell you, oh, yeah, of course, yeah, it's there for an agenda. And, overall, sometimes that's true. Okay. But if a million people see something in the movie, or say millions of people, it begins to manifest because of visualization. And then you start seeing these things in real life and you go, yeah, I remember. It was like that on that movie. It was, whatever. And what's really funny is because my best friend was blind, I just generally kind of let go of movies a long, long time ago. So, my best friend and I met when I was 24. Okay, so I met this guy in church, right? He was blind, musical genius, and the priest of all people said, "Hey, you should go. You guys should get together because both of you play music." And I thought to myself, like, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. And then I go, well, how am I going to talk to this guy? I don't know how to talk to a blind person, you know. And then I learned throughout my time that I knew him and whatever that like you can't feel like that about people because whatever disability or perceived disability that someone has, they always have an ability. And then when I played music with this guy and I found out he was a musical genius, I was like, whoa. So I started looking at him through a different pair of eyes. You see what I'm saying? And the prejudice and it wasn't really prejudice like prejudging. It was more like, it kept me like other people and observing other people and how they felt about other people. I remember my grandmother had a hard time seeing people on crutches because of March of Dimes and muscular dystrophy campaigns and stuff like that. And it used to make her feel guilty because she was healthy. So, but it's how you take it. It's how you feel about it, right? And that's the way she felt about it. And I never could get that. But, that was old school to me, right? It was like, oh, she's from that era kind of thing. So when I got together with my friend and he was blind, I started doing things that blind people do because I was 24 years old. So my whole adult life, we did things. We actually achieved goals is what we did, and we knocked them off one after the other. And pretty soon, when I got engaged, he lived with me. He lived with us, and then it kind of just went from there. But I learned a lot, and part of the stuff that I learned was that when I gave up, because you have to sacrifice something in order to get something in life. There's no such thing as, a free ride or an easy ride, or nobody has an easy ride in life. So what happened was, right, I stopped going to movies because like, for a long time, like I was in between girlfriends. That would happen. And this was way before, I got popular or anything like that. Way before. I was 24 years old. I didn't, I was just kind of figuring life out, right? And I met this guy and he was like 11 years older than me. I mean, so yeah, and you would be surprised how much wisdom he had being blind. And so I just kind of focused on music and everything was music, 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 right? And so I like movies, meh, and I let it go. And so when I let go of movies and stuff like that, pretty soon I started letting go of television. I started letting go of these visual things. And I noticed something. I noticed when I started letting go of these things, like my mind started to open up and expand. Okay, because I would have conversations. Now, when I got into radio and when I got to the popular stage and I worked on the second most popular radio show in Hawaii, um, these guys were big movie fans and I don't I couldn't figure out, and it wasn't my business, so I didn't pay attention, but I couldn't figure out like if these guys really loved movies or if they went to the movies because they had to talk about it and be relevant on the radio, because you have to do some research. You have to really live the thing. You can't talk about pop culture on the radio and then not be aware of it or not partake in it or absorb it. And so that was one of the things when I did my radio stuff, right? These guys would talk about actresses and actors that I had no idea who they were. And I didn't want to know. I didn't care. I didn't give a flying, but anyway, we got kids, we got 17-year-olds listening to this show. So yeah, I don't swear. But yeah, so and I didn't care. And I would just relate it back to something in local pop culture that I knew about or something, and it would be funny. It would be so funny because people knew that I did not have a clue and I didn't want a clue. But here's the thing, right? You know, when people talk to you and they relate it to a movie or a scene in a movie, they go, hey, you remember when that guy in Matrix said blah, 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 blah? Or you remember in, that kind of thing, right? They reference movies. Isn't that interesting, right? And so, and I was discussing this with a person the other day, and she was going, well, what are we gonna relate to if it's not movies? And I'm like, well, you relate it to a lot of things. What else happens in life? I mean, and but here's the funny part, okay? The funny part about this and how we relate these to these things, right? And social conditioning. Okay, now this is all social conditioning. It just what you see in the movies. You remember like way back, it was newsreels, and newsreels were in movie theaters, and there was no television, and you would go. Well, there was maybe limited television, and then you would go and you would see these newsreels. Right now, think about it. Your great grandparents, that's all they had. Your great grandparents went to movie theaters, they got the movie reels. Okay, now who had control of the movie reels, right? We know that right now in America, 6 corporations have control of the media. Okay, so everything that you hear, everything that you see, okay, comes out of 6 corporations that have control. And what do? They share information. So you get, one corporation will have this, and the next corporation will have a little slight variance on the theme. And then, and it kind of goes like that, right? And I'm sure you've seen on social media the talking heads where, everybody's following the same script kind of thing. So basically this has changed journalism. Okay, now journalism, when I was exposed to a little bit of it, I didn't care for it. I just wanted to make people laugh. But journalism was a really solid thing back in the day. And you had news people, especially locally, that used to write their own news, that used to write about national news and things. And then it started coming down the pipe. And then you started getting talking heads. And then you have, local newscasters that go to work in the morning and they just retrieve their script, and they're just rehearsing their script, and basically it's almost like acting. In fact, there was a couple local, um I remember making an unkind remark in the name of comedy, right, about a local newscaster, and on the very next newscast. I almost said podcast. The times have changed, Hawaiians. But on the very next newscast, right, she was totally different, and I was like, oh, okay, well, she's listening to me in the morning. You know what I mean? But anyway, but yeah, and but we have seen journalism turn into acting. We have seen all these things shift. Now news stations now, okay, and news stations are now becoming entertainment. They're all becoming tabloid because they have to hold people's attention. All right, and there's some local news companies here in Hawaii, where I am, and I'm not going to name names or anything, but I'm just saying that they're becoming so tabloid oriented, like people don't take them serious anymore. Okay, and they're also bringing stories in from like outside, right? So this is Hawaii, and then they're bringing in stories about accidents that happened in California, and everybody's going, what, this is Hawaii? I mean, that kind of thing. So, anyway, so I'm going to tell you how manifestation happens. Now, when you see something, okay, that's one thing. That's visualizing. Okay, if you continue to visualize the same thing, in other words, if you take a video of something, okay, and you watch that video over and over and over and over and over, okay, it could be a test drive of a car. You know how they have those demos on YouTube with cars, and okay, this is the Tesla, and they, whatever. Now, if you watch that video over and over and over daily, okay, and you start writing affirmations, and you start, well, okay, what happens is your subconscious starts leading you in steps to your goal. Baby steps, small steps, okay? And pretty soon, guess what? You may be driving a Tesla. Now, you may not own it. Maybe it's your friend's Tesla they let you drive. Maybe, I mean, there's variables, right? So you can't really, you're not gonna say, well, yeah, I'm gonna own one. But maybe you can. Maybe, okay? And the other thing is, if you think that money is, the only way you can get something, you're suffering from limited thinking. Okay, because I had this client, right? And I've told her story before, so I'm not going to tell the whole story. But in a nutshell, right, her van was breaking down, and all of this. I taught her a few techniques, and we went over it week by week for 2 months. At the end of the 2 months time, guess what happened? Her friend, who was a military wife, said, "Hey, you can have my van. You just have to, change it over to your name, whatever, do the paperwork, whatever." And it's only got 10,000 miles on it. So it was like a brand new van to her. I mean, you think she was complaining about the 10,000 miles? No, she was ecstatic. She goes, "Wow." And she told me, "Wow, this stuff really works." I'm like, "Yeah, it really works, of course." So that's how human beings are. So now back to the movies, right? I know I took you guys on the left, right? All the way to the left. Oh, it's okay. Now we're going back. Going back to the other side. Hey, wait a minute. Did I just do sound effects? Okay. Okay. You never know what's going to happen on this show. Okay. So now when you go back to movies, okay, when millions of people see something and it starts to evolve in public or starts to develop in society, let's say it that way. Okay. It's the result of all of these people thinking about this thing. So, one way to manifest, so what I'm really saying is one way to manifest something, okay, is to show it to a large group of people. And pretty soon it manifests. Now, this could be an idea. This could be a thing. This could be a technology. Okay. So the best thing about, if you want to develop a technology is create something about it and then show it to the masses. And pretty soon, if, people start thinking about, "Yeah, I saw this thing on the movie." Yeah. And they think about it. And the more you show it to them, the more they think about it, the more it comes into physical existence. Okay, so Abraham Hicks, right? Esther Hicks, she talks about the vortex, and she talks about like everything you want is in the vortex, and you just have to summon it into your life. You just have to visualize it, whatever, to materialize and all this kind of stuff. And but there's her technique is 16 seconds. You think about something for 16 seconds and let it go. And then you do it again and let it go, and whatever. And she has her method. I have my own method, and you will have your own method. Okay, what works best for you? So what works really well for me are screensavers. So I'll share with you guys so you guys can do this. Use a screensaver for something productive. Okay, most people will take, pictures of their kids, their dog, things that they like. Okay, I take pictures of things I don't have. I take pictures of goals. I take pictures of things that, or collect pictures, right? Like online. For example, I have one for my company, and I put it on if you're a member of my Facebook, you'll see some of my stuff on my stories because I put it up for other people and I show them and I put hashtag vision board. I don't know how many people are catching on or, whatever. And I'm sure a lot of people see it and they go, "Ah, no, that's a bunch of baloney." And then some people see it and they go, "Huh," and it gives them an idea and they try it. I'm there to give people ideas. So it's not so much that, I'm there to flex my vision board. No, because I have some pretty grandiose vision boards. But everything that I put on my vision boards has come into my life. In fact, I'm looking at a guitar right now across the studio that, excuse me, that I did. And I made a vision board of it and it showed up, and here's another thing about, I'll tell you guys a short story about how you don't need money for stuff. Okay. Everybody thinks, "Oh, well, when I get money, I'll be happy. When I get money, I'll buy that XYZ thing I want. Oh, when I get money." No, 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 no. You can't think like that. If you do that, you're suffering from limited thinking. Okay. Now I'll tell you a story. I have several guitars on stands in here, and I'll tell you a story about what happened with me. Okay. So anyway, I'm teaching this guy. Okay. And we start talking about guitars because he used to own a guitar store. And I've told this story before, so if you heard it on another podcast, don't worry, it'll be short. And so he knew I was interested in guitars, and I guess his intention was to sell me a guitar. Okay, now he brought like three of them, he brought 3 guitars. First, he brought 2, and then he left 2 with me. He goes, "Hey, see what you think," because he had guitars in his storage. Because he sold his guitar store, but he had some inventory, and so he left it with me. I opened the 2, and I'm like, oh, and the one of them was like meh, and the other one was like, whoa, it was like, yeah, I like that one. So the one that I liked, right? I told him, I said, well, I really don't care for that one, but I like this one. And then he goes, Ed, play it for a while. And what he was really doing, right, was like, play it for a while and see how you like it, and we'll talk story, about it. It was a $3,500 guitar, and it was brand new, like brand new, like totally. It's sitting over there in the corner right now, brand new, and I hardly play it. But anyway, so days go by, right? Things go by, and we start having conversations. He brings another guitar, and I go, "Wow, I like that one too. That's really cool." So what happened was the end result was, I was like, "Hey, well, you're coming to sessions. Why don't we just write off the sessions against the guitar?" And he goes, "Yeah, sure, no problem." And that's how, so there you go, Hawaiians, right? No money. No money. And I got, of course I had to you have to do something, right? There's always something. Like I said earlier in the podcast, sacrifices. You have to make a sacrifice. You have to sacrifice something. Now, when you sacrifice your time, and I say this all the time, you're sacrificing your life. A friend of mine, a ventriloquist that I learned ventriloquism from back in the day, said this on his show all the time. And he used to make a toast to his audience at the end of his show. And he said, when you spend your time with somebody, you spend your life with somebody. And he says, thank you for spending part of your life with me. And he would make a toast, and everybody would drink, and like that. But so I spent my time to acquire the guitar. Okay, now people look at that, and the people that worship money, people that love money, people that everything is money to them, right? I come from a family with people like that, so, but I don't look at it like that, right? But they do, some of them do, and when you look at life like that, you go, okay, it's money. I know this guy that I worked with in comedy, and he goes, it's about money or it's about nothing. And now he's a city councilman, and I'm going, boy, I hope he doesn't get too close to the money. You know what I mean? Like enough to get in trouble, kind of stuff. But anyway, but yeah, people that do that, okay, they hold this high regard for money. Okay, I hold a high regard for people. I love people. Okay, and your service to people. Okay, generally, I mean, if you just focus on servicing people, generally you're going to get money. Okay, it'll come. You don't have to worry about money. The focus doesn't have to be money. The focus should be the things you love and the people you love. Okay, so focus on those 2 things, and you'll manifest a lot easier. One of the reasons is because money, although it is an energy, is an inanimate object. It doesn't have a heartbeat. It doesn't, that kind of thing, right? It doesn't have feelings. It does, and any fool can make money. Fools can make money. I know a lot of fools that are making money right now. And some of those fools are making a lot of money right now, but they're fools, okay? Because they've got their priorities mixed up, okay, or backwards, or upside down, or whatever. But yeah, so you have to not focus on the dollar amount per se, but just focus on what you want. And when I made the vision board for my guitar, right, I was like, I want that guitar, and guess what? That's the guitar that showed up. And I was like, what? Like, like I couldn't believe. I was like, huh? And the huh went all the way up. I was like, huh? Like, it was something like that. I was like, huh? Like, it went all the way up. And I was like, wow, this really works. Now, it doesn't work because it's voodoo or witchcraft or magic. I use the word magic because we have magic. We have mana in us. And we have that kind of energy that can manifest anything, right? And I've met girls. I met girls like in places like whatever, like even online or in places that go, I knew I was gonna meet you. I always knew in the back of my mind I was gonna meet. I had this girl. I took her to lunch one day, And this was like, oh gosh, I don't know how long ago, a few months ago. And we went to lunch and she goes, I knew I was gonna meet you. I knew, da da da. And it was very flattering, but she knew in her mind. So I looked at her and I said, well, you manifested me, and we had a toast. We made a toast. I made a toast. I'm like, yeah, cheers. You manifested me. Here we go. And so, but this happens, and I've done this with girls too. Okay, women. Okay, you gotta be PC. Women, okay, not girls, right? But I refer to them as girls sometimes, but women. But no disrespect intended, ladies. We like your 33% that's going on right now, so keep listening to the podcast. But yeah, so I've done this with women before. I've seen a woman and I take her picture. Sometimes it's online or something, and I'm like, wow, that's a beautiful lady, right? And and then it's just kind of like in my phone, floating around. And I mean, with the other pictures and whatever, I'm not like looking at it or what. It just I don't think about it anymore. And all of a sudden, I meet that girl and I go, oh yeah, I have her picture somewhere. And then I go look for it. And I go, yeah, there's her picture. Okay, got it. And so that happens. Now, another thing that you can do is to write things down for your subconscious. Because your subconscious is doing this. It's not magic. It's not witchcraft and voodoo. These guys that are doing all their stuff, like they go, well, we're gonna say this affirmation or this incantation, and we're gonna do this witchcraft thing, and then it's gonna come out. I'm like, no, all you're really doing is something that you believe that reinforces in your subconscious that starts to bring it about. It's not like it's not a magic trick or evil entity that's bringing you all this stuff. Or, I mean, I guess, yeah, you could do that. You could, summon some evil being to be at your service, and then, yeah, you gotta I don't know. It makes a good movie. It makes a good fairy tale. But yeah, there's a more simple way to do it. Now, there's some people, okay, that I've run into, and these people are Christians, okay, and I'm a Christian. I'm just a different kind of Christian. I'm a more spiritual Christian. And when I say that, to qualify that statement, I want to say that I believe in what Jesus taught. Okay. I believe in what Jesus Christ taught us. The kingdom is within. From that standpoint, okay, all the other stories in the Bible are stories. They're stories. When I want to say, when you research esoteric knowledge, when you start getting into the origin of things, like where does this come from? Like, so I even have a Star of David, that I wear. And it was really funny. I have 155,000 something, whatever, followers on TikTok. And what was really funny is one day, because I was wearing my Star of David, I don't always wear it, but I wear it. And this kid, I don't know how young he was, maybe 19, 20 years old. And so, yeah, he may, young adult. And he goes, that's the Star of Remphan. And, and I'm like, okay. And that's what it says in the Bible, the Star of Remphan. It's an evil star, right? King Solomon, it had the Star of David, and he summoned beings, and he, did all kinds of magic with it, that kind of thing. But when you really look at the origins, okay, it takes you all the way back to Buddhism. It takes you back all the way to India, which predates anything Hebrew. Okay, so it goes all the way back, like all the way back to the Eastern religions, and it's found on the floors of Indian temples, you know and in Buddhism, it's on their temples as well. Now, when you look at the swastika, it's the same thing. Okay, people think, oh, the swastika is a German thing. No, that goes all the way back to Buddhism. Okay, different inversion, but it's there. Okay, when you start studying the origins of things, you go, oh, okay. And then history repeats itself, right? Why does history repeat itself? Have you ever thought about that? Okay, because things and trends come back. Okay, think about your clothes. And this is like a really minor, mild explanation kind of thing because I want you to think about it. But I'm gonna use clothes and fashion as an example. My mom once told me, right, and she wasn't talking about my clothes because I'm a dude, but she said, if you keep your clothes long enough, if you keep your clothes in good condition and keep it long enough, it'll come back in style, right? And then, I couldn't help but wondering, like, okay, have you ever noticed that animal print, for girls, right? Animal print, I saw an auntie with animal print the other day, and I'm like, what? Like, this was popular in the 90s. It was also popular in the 80s. I mean, so I was looking at this auntie and I was going, whoa, she's rocking animal print. And I don't know, she must have been in her late 40s or something. And but these things come back. Okay, history repeats itself. Okay, we run out of ideas, and humans go in circles. Okay, so and that's all I'm going to say about that. But I will say also that when you have religion, when you have organized religion, and they start feeding you a story, and everybody buys into the same story, guess what happens? Yeah, manifestation. There you go. So there's a lot of people that, are very, adamant about, oh, the war to end all wars is going to happen, right? But they've been saying this like since I was a little kid. Okay. And we had wars, we had big wars. We averted some big wars too. Okay. But, my point is, it's going to regurgitate, it's going to repeat, it's going to revolve, it's going to go around again. It'll come around, it'll go around. Okay, but yeah, let's not be so hasty to judge others. Okay, because you know what, like somebody was telling me on social media. I think it was yesterday or maybe earlier today or something, and they were telling me like, these Christians go around, and when I say these, okay, I'm part of that. Okay, I'm part of that group, but they go, these Christians, they just strike out at people. They just condemn. They're the first ones to condemn. And then he said that he has a graveyard. He's talking about, skeletons out of the past, right? He goes, I have a graveyard. And just to make him feel better, which is the truth, I just told him the truth. I said, yeah, I have a graveyard too. I think everybody has a graveyard because we learn in life. We make mistakes. We do bad things. Good people do bad things all the time. I'm not calling myself a good person, okay? But I'm just saying that even the best people do bad things, okay? And then you can get into sin, and you can get into how sin was the goddess of the moon, and you can go back, you can go all the way back to and then not to leave out that all the Christian celebrations are actually pagan ones. So when you celebrate the Christian ones on the pagan day, you are actually honoring the pagan one. It's like the pagans are like, yeah, they're worshiping on our day. They're all happy about that. But yeah, I mean, the May Day thing, and the maypole, and the fertility rites, and spring and Easter, and it's about the bunnies and anyway, but yeah, so there's these underlying things, and people don't look at that. Like, oh, you have an Easter sunrise service, and that's supposed to be for Jesus. Oh, but isn't Easter a spring fertility celebration? I mean, and then December 25th, what was that? Saturnalia, right? That's not Jesus's birthday. Anyway, I'm not going to get deep into that stuff, but I'm just going to tell you guys that nothing in the world appears as it is. Okay, nothing. Everything has been redone. Everything has been reset. Everything has been regurgitated, if you want to say that. But yeah, it's always changing. So generations from now, right, we'll still have, December 25th. It'll still be Jesus's birthday, or people will start to tell the truth about things. Okay. And we may see that come up, because that's what I see in the kids. The kids are telling the truth. A lot of the kids are telling the truth now. And this is where, manifestation will play a role, because these truths will manifest. Okay. Because the kids are calling people out right now. Some of the things that are going on, when the kids are, calling things out, like they wanted to, during remember during 2020 when they wanted to tear down the statues and everything, they go, no, that guy was a slave owner. We got to take down his statue. I'm not going to say the kids were wrong, okay? But I can say that if you start doing that, if you start, like ripping down statues and tearing down things in history, and then what have we really learned from our past? I mean, and then on the other side of the coin, right? If we leave it up, does that perpetuate slavery? Does that perpetuate the wrongs that were done? And I mean, really, I mean, I knew some people that, yeah, they have statues in their honor now. And I knew the human side of them, and I know the good stuff that they did, and I know the human stuff that they did. And and then I go, whoa, he got a statue, or she got a statue, or she got a building named after her, my mom had a building named after her. I really never seen my mom do bad stuff. I mean, I gotta say, I've never seen her do, evil things or anything like that. But I'm like, wow, I was happy that happened. I was happy for her. But there are other people that do bad stuff that get recognized as well, and it's because it's because they've done some good stuff, and then of course they've also done bad stuff that nobody knows about. I'm sure my mom did bad stuff that I don't know about. I just don't know about it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what my point is, you can't reverse all this stuff. You can't just tear down all the statues and the monuments and all that stuff. And I don't know if you guys know that the Abraham Lincoln's monument, the memorial, is actually like a temple. I don't know if you know that. Anyway, it's a Freemasonic temple. All right, so I'm not going to get more deep into that, but I'm just saying, the way you manifest things, okay? Everybody's going to have their own way, their own method, their own skill set. But if you think about something often enough, if you write it down, if you do all this, there's a formula that I use that I found that works really, really well and really, really fast. And so what I do is I help a lot of people with it. And I make a living that way. I mean, I do life coaching that way. But my life coaching clients are, I'm expensive, and my life coaching clients are normally executives. I call them high performance executives, and they start, they start listening to me about this stuff, and at first they're like, they're like, that's interesting, And then when it starts working, they're like, oh, yeah, okay, and then, right? Then it clicks in, and then it becomes deliberate with them. But here's what I'm noticing in the life coaching trends. Okay, like for my high performance individuals, what I'm noticing is most of them did it for money. Most of them are doing it for the money. And when you do something for money, okay, so this is another end to the manifestation thing, right? When you do something for money, and this is why I tell people not to do things for money. Do things, focus on the things you love and the people you love. And the reason why is because I work with a lot of people that have done things for money, right? And they go down the road and they're in their high performance job making a lot of money. And then someone like me comes along, right? And I go, so you realize that you're just this cog in the wheel, right? Like, check it out. And they start looking at, and what I do is I do these things through their voice, and I raise their vibration through their voice. You tune a human being the same way you tune an instrument, okay? Remember that I said that. If you ever want to do it, just get a hold of me. But so I raise their vibration. Now, when you raise a person's vibration or frequency, you raise a person's vibration. Now their whole vibration is different. Now the people that they used to hang out with, they're not hanging out with anymore. Now they're, enjoying this new vibration, this new surroundings with new friends, new opportunities, new things, that kind of thing. And when that happens, life changes. But here's something that happens when you do the voice thing, okay? When you start exercising, so whatever you want to call that in a human being, if you want to call that energy, if you want to call that, spirit, soul, energy, it's all of that, okay? But when you start working that, when you start exercising that in someone, and I do use the word exercise in both meanings, okay? There's a duality there. You exercise it in someone, and you exercise it out of someone. Okay, now what are you exercising out? Oh, the negative energy. Yeah, because the yin and yang. There's dark and there's light. Okay, there's good and there's evil. There's the duality. Now, if you exercise this energy in people, right? What happens is their frequency raises, right? Then they start to be supercharged, right? Because now they can get over the guilt, the shame, the anguish, the pain, the suffering, all of that. And now they start to see life from a different angle or perspective. And everyone has a different perspective. So what happens when this starts to happen? Well, when this starts to happen, they start looking at their high performance job and they're going, what am I doing this for? I'm replaceable. Anybody can do this job. Anybody qualified can do this. Like, why am I doing this? Like, what is the feel good part of this job? What is the purpose of this job? Why am I really here? That kind of thing, right? And so what I really tell people, and I have to tell them, and I have to remind them all the time, it's not about regret. You don't regret. You're here for a reason. Your high performance job serves a purpose, right? But it's not what you think when your eyes become open, okay? Or let's say it another way, when your awareness sharpens, when your awareness and your eyes get, you awaken and you go, oh, I see this for what it really is, okay? Now, when that begins to happen, and you start, like I have this one executive and she's angry. She gets angry about it. And I go, no, don't be angry. You have to be happy that your eyes are open and now you can see things that these guys don't see. And when I say these guys, I mean her coworkers. So the other people in her management, if she were to like explain like what she learned from me and how she learned to see what she sees now, they wouldn't be able to, they would think she was crazy and they wouldn't be able to see it because they're in it. Okay. And now if you don't remove someone from it, or like I say, pull them out, if you don't pull them out, they can't look back inside. And if they cannot look back inside, right? You see, they're just like everybody else that's on the mouse wheel. What's the mouse wheel? Okay, so the mouse wheel is, Monday through Friday, right? You're going to work at a certain time. You're at work. You're clocking in. You're doing this. You're going to lunch at a certain time. You come home at a certain time. And then it's, cook dinner for the kids, whatever, that, wash, rinse, repeat. On Saturday, it's soccer for the kids. Sunday, it's church. Monday, you're back on the mouse wheel. Okay, so if you're living like that, I mean, it's like the people that are living for the weekend. I see it all the time. It's like 3 days till Friday. It's 3 more days to go. And I'm like, ooh, what a sad existence. Okay. And I'm not saying that because I'm, better than anybody or whatever. But it's because a long, long time ago, I had a mentor that told me, oh, are you going to live for the weekend, or are you going to have goals? Are you going to wait until, Friday to enjoy yourself, or are you going to have fun every day? And I'm like, wow, okay. So here's the thing about purpose. When you live a purposeful life, or what I call an intentional life, okay, a life based on goals, a life based on achievement. It doesn't matter what you're achieving, a steak dinner or whatever, but you have to intend everything. You have to make an intention for things, right? The other thing you have to do is pay close attention to intuitive thought, okay? Because intuitive thought will guide you in ways that your free will or your ego cannot do. It just cannot. Okay, because there's that little, people call it a voice, right? That little voice inside you tells you whatever. It's not a voice, it's a feeling. Where do you get this feeling from? Well, it works with your subconscious from the superconscious. Where is the superconscious? Well, it's like, yeah, it's consciousness. Yeah, and then oh yeah, and then there's that element that they hide from us now called ether. And what does that do? Okay, go look it up. Go look it up. But yeah, I'm just here to make you think. Okay, so go look up ether. Go look up what it does and why they're trying to hide it from everybody. Okay, it's an element. That's why you have 5 fingers. The 5 fingers represent the 5 elements. Okay, I'm not gonna get into that. I'm just telling you. Go look, and you seek and you shall find. Okay, but here's the thing: when you start living an intuitive life, when you start intending things for yourself, when you start intending everything and making goals and go, okay, here's the goals for this week. All right, I'm going to knock this off. This one, oh, I didn't make this one. Okay, next week. And you do life like that. Okay. Life changes. Oh, Hawaiians, I got to go. Life changes, Hawaiians. I'm not here to bring you bad news or anything, but man, I just want to tell you guys that we're brought to you by Voice Master Enterprises. Yeah, we used to be brought to you by another company, and then they're not here right now. So yeah, hey, if you want to sponsor the podcast, just shoot us an email to junior@hereforyoulifecoaching.com. This has been a presentation of Voice Master Enterprises, family of service companies. We want to say mahalo to him. Also to Darren Chinen and his music, and you can find his music on AFM Worldwide. Oh wait, excuse me, AFMHawaiiMusic.com. AFM Worldwide is a parent company. All right, you didn't need to know that. Until next time, I'm Junior saying mahalo and